Welcome, Tom Bauman here with RE Technology. We are here today with Dilip Jaggi with Revive, and we are so excited to have you here, Dilip. You are just a wealth of knowledge. You've been in the space a long time. You've started your own startups. You're running successful companies. Welcome. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're up to?
Sure, absolutely. Well, pleasure to meet everyone who's tuning in. My name is Dilip. Started my career in software engineering, so techie, first and foremost. Kind of turned an entrepreneur along that journey in my 20s. Started a engineering agency, sold that, and kind of somehow felt my passion in the crossroads of technology and real estate, and started Revive in 2020. So it's been 4.5 years building Revive, and primarily we focus on helping homeowners on their journey of wealth building from their real estate through by providing like very unique renovation products and financial products that make that possible. And so stoked to talk about dot real estate extension today and diving into that and how we made that decision.
Sure. So a couple of things. So one, I love what you guys are doing, right? And I'd love to talk a little bit more just about Revive and your company and how you guys help homeowners because there's a couple of providers in this space and none are really doing exactly what it is that you do. So if you can just kind of highlight for us, what is your niche? What makes you different than everybody else in this space right now?
Sure, for sure. Our niche is specifically we're thinking about homeowners in different ways so they can build wealth from their real estate top. So like whether like we started our business on like the sell side. So like if you had a home and you wanted to sell it, and let's say you've lived there for 15 years, 25 years, many home sellers, if they did some strategic upgrades to the property, they can maximize the sales profit. But generally, the three problems are they don't have the money because home improvements are very capital intensive. Construction just scares them like completely. And they have no like trust or predictability in the construction process. And so they're looking for the guidance and support with that. And that's what we solve for. But what makes us unique is we started on the sell side, but building wealth from real estate isn't just when you're selling your real estate, it's when you first purchase it, from the time you're living in it to the moment you sell in it. And that's like the home ownership journey. So we're very unique that we try to come up with different products and programs that help people, no matter where they are in that journey, to build wealth from their real estate. So how can we create creative programs to allow homeowners to increase the equity when they're even just at the point of purchase or when they're living? And so that's like kind of the unique or the brand, the spirit of Revive. And that's what we've been kind of working hard to make possible over the last few years.
I love it. And it absolutely kind of goes with the name, right? Now that you
Totally.
explain it, it all comes full circle, right? You start to understand why Revive is Revive, right? Revive Real Estate. And so we want to dive into that kind of what's in a name, right? And what does that brand name, that company name say about you, say about what you do, not only to customers, but also people who don't know about your company, right? And you guys have had kind of a journey here, kind of rebranding and establishing this and really trying to send that message in a clear way. And so we want to talk about kind of some tools that you've used that have helped you to be successful in that endeavor, right? And so um, kind of what are you doing currently to really set yourself apart, to really say, like, there's some other competition here. What part of your marketing or your branding is setting you apart and kind of defining you in that sense?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And there's so many ways to like to take that. Um, like for us, like we don't want like we're definitely trying to big something bigger than ourselves, and that's like Revive as a brand. And so like when I'm with my marketing team, like we talk about like how do you get to define a brand? And the challenge honestly is like you don't get to define your brand. It's like the sum of all the actions and things that your brand does and how Tom explains that brand to somebody else is actually the definition of your brand. So you kind of get to influence it, but you don't really get to define it. So like you kind of hope that everything you do is what Tom's perspective or perception of your brand is going to be. So we do a lot of things. Like one, we're very proud of the name Revive. We do think it's a good name. The challenge is there's a lot of companies that are called Revive, and so that becomes a competitive challenge for us. But what we really try to do is, whether you are engaging our brand from an educational perspective or from a tech perspective, one of our tools we created, we always want to like compete on like sort of value. And so we look at ourselves like a Sherpa, like how can we guide that name comes up a lot in our branding. Like we're like a Sherpa. So our tonality, the way we speak to our clients, the way we process them needs to be coming from a place of like serving and guidance. And so that's one of the ways that we try to stand out. And so it resonates with people. But because our name is so common, I personally like one word names like Revive, and or my last company was called Devise. I feel like you can own the word like so much stronger. But that's one of the main reasons why we picked Revive.real estate was so we can like still have like a dictionary word, which is very rare to own a dictionary word. So how do you do that? You know what I mean? While the internet competitive landscape is so large. And so that's why dot real estate was one way to go like, okay, we can stand out from all the other Revive things that are out there, and people can know exactly like what we're doing. And when they land on our website, our tonality, our brand, the way we express ourselves should be in that Sherpa way, which hopefully resonates with consumers. So there's a lot of ways to answer that, but hopefully that gives you some
Yeah,
good insight.
no, this
Yeah.
is great. A couple of things. Like, A, I love the Sherpa example. I worked for another company in the past, and that was something that we used all the time, being that guide, right? And helping people along their journey. So love that, but really love what you said about about how your brand is the sum of all the actions that you take, but not even that. It's how someone else describes it, right? How that which is so
Yeah.
powerful to think about that. But when you think about, if I'm Googling a bunch of companies and I see these different names, they're single word names. What does that tell me about the company, right? It can tell me kind of a culture, right? Revive, or a mission or a goal, but it doesn't give me real granular, detailed information about what you're actually doing, right? And
Right.
so I think for you guys, a huge move that you did was to add that dot real estate, where now or even just Revive real estate, right? Where now I know exactly what it is that you specialize in, what industry you're in, what you guys are doing, and it really allows you to kind of stand out amongst the pools of other companies that use similar names, and really establish what it is that you do. So would you say, I mean, how long has it been since you guys added this and kind of made that switch?
Oh shucks. It must be like wow, it must be like 2.5 years, I want to say. And we made a switch that wasn't just like okay, let's just try it out and see. I mean, to know why we made the switch, maybe you need a little bit of background. It's um, so our company is named Revive, but our domain was I love Revive, and and so like all our emails said I love Revive, but it got to a point that after a couple of years, like some of our clients, like agents, would be like, "Oh, you need to talk to I love Revive." So they literally would call us by our domain name, and I would cringe, Tom. I'm like, "No, my brand is not I love Revive." It sounded childish. It was just whatever. And so it became a problem, like a personal problem. Like it's like one of those like pet peeves you had. And so
Yeah.
um, I try to come up with different things like reviverenovate.com or whatever. But the reality is like there was a lot of other people that were using something similar, and I couldn't get like my Instagram handle or my TikTok handle or my YouTube channel to all like synchronize because like I have to like find something that's unique. So revive.real estate was one that was unique all the way across from my social handles to the domain. And so I was like, wow, everything in synchronicity. It would all be the same. Once you know the name, you're then be able to identify it across other mediums. And so there's value in that. And so that's kind of why we went into, not only that, but people now know like it's something about real estate. You don't maybe know exactly what it is, but like, okay, I'm not trying to find Revive supplements there. Like it's something about real estate,
Sure.
and that helps us tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of vagueness might actually create additional curiosity, right? Where people want to learn about it.
Sure.
But
Yeah, exactly.
something that I want to just emphasize, right? Tying back to what you said earlier, where your sort of your brand is, all kind of that sum of all of those small actions that you take that kind of create that. And that really kind of applies to domain name, your handles, like you said, having them uniform and having them inspire trust and really brand you as that industry leader, that industry thought leader. Revive.real estate is so powerful. And when they're the same across the board, like you've been able to create here, you're able to create great top of mind marketing across multiple different audiences. Everyone knows where to find you, and you kind of start to become that household name. So it sounds like this has been a really great move in the right direction for you guys, and for your customers, just with the name recognition. So we love to hear that. Um,
Yeah,
what's
I would even say that because you know how I explained that problem of like the iloverevive.com.
yeah,
It was it was like I was kind of banging my head on the wall, if you will, for like a year because I was constantly looking at new domains. I even was like pretty close to buy a domain called renovate.com. I was thinking about like renaming the whole company. Like when I say that this was a problem, it was like a pretty big problem for me. And I didn't know how to solve it. And so it wasn't until I was at um, so we were fortunate to get into Second Century Ventures, you know, with
sure.
NAR. And we were at like one of the kickoffs, and then we heard this dot real estate, and that's when it sparked. And I'm like, literally, like that meeting, I'm like, oh my God, this could, because it was on my mind. I'm like, this could be a solution. So um, it was pretty great. Like I stumbled upon it. It's not like I just knew about this concept. I stumbled upon it. I'm like, this actually solved a big problem for me. And so that's kind of like how it actually happened.
I love to hear that. I think so many people, business owners, influencers, everybody kind of struggles to really, decide 100% on their domain name. There's so many
Yeah,
options, and it oftentimes is kind of almost like writer's block, right? Where they can't kind of make that decision and commit. So
totally.
it's great that you found a good one. And, let's talk a little bit about that because it was a huge problem for you. And I'm sure you looked at a lot of other options. And how did this compare cost-wise? Because getting something like Revive Real Estate can be extremely expensive, to have your brand and the words real estate in that domain name. I know this is a more affordable option, so I'm curious, what was your experience like searching for other domains cost-wise compared to what you found with .real estate?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other domains, you know, you can get like there's like the .io, there's like .basketball. Like, there's so many domain extensions out there, and they're all different price points from what I remember. Some you can get for 20, $30 a year, some you get for 100 to $200 a year. I don't exactly know like what we paid for, but I want to say it's in the tens of dollars is like what it costs. So like for me, it was like very affordable. But I even think NAR was doing like a promo at the time, like 1 or 2 years, and I was like, awesome. Like that's just like icing on the cake there. Um, but yeah, cost wise, it's from what I remember, it's pretty affordable. But at the end of the day, like Tom, like your domain is one of the most important assets that your business can have. Whether your domain costed $50 for the domain extension, 100 or $500, it's kind of irrelevant because if it's the right decision, it's the thing that can make you memorable, right? And remember, and if you're memorable, people can come back to you, and that becomes a branding opportunity. So, like for me, like it's one of those things. Like I think cost like wouldn't even be like like in the decision matrix because it's one of the most important things that can be added to my business. And so, maybe that's why I don't know the cost. 'Cause I'm like, whatever it is, I have to pay
Well, I
it.
love this. I love you're preaching to the choir here. I completely agree, right? It's so important to have your brand locked down, and it does have extreme value. And that's why there are so many companies who end up paying tens of thousands of dollars for domain names, when they do have an affordable alternative with the option that you're using, .real estate, because most of those domains are pretty reasonably priced. They're not in that price range. They're much, much less, like you said. And so it's a great alternative that still is able to inspire that trust, brand you as that thought leader, that industry leader, and help create that concise understanding of what you do.
To even put that in more perspective, um, we were 2 years in the business. I negotiated to get the domain renovate.com. We negotiated for months, finally got to like the final like contract, 250,000 is gonna cost me for that domain.
Wow.
Um, and I was this close. Like I was literally about to execute on it. We're about to rebrand Revive into renovate.com. And like at that time, we're 2 years into it, we're a small business. It's like, look, like, can I just take that 250,000 and just put it into marketing and brand the name Revive in a better way? And that was like the decision. Like after negotiating, I'm like, you know what? I'd rather take that money and use it for marketing because Revive.real estate was going to cost me like $20 or whatever. And I can just spend that same money to work for me rather than just a domain. So but but that's how big of a problem it was. I was ready to spend 250,000 on the solution.
I mean, that's a pretty big problem.
Yeah.
And there's a lot you can do in marketing with that kind of money than just the
Yeah.
domain name. So, I mean, it sounds like you made the right decision. And yeah, I mean, here you guys are a couple of years later, still happy with it. Your clients are happy with it. You guys are on the right track. You're, having great success. And so it sounds like that was a kind of an integral decision in that sort of process there that's led you to where you are today.
Totally. Yeah.
Any advice that you would give to other tech companies? Because you've got great insight, right? You've done this, I think it's your second time that you've done this, and so you've got an actual software engineering background. I mean, you're an expert in all this kind of stuff. Any advice that you would give to our audience or really other tech companies or tech executives or marketing teams who might be struggling with kind of the same issue, and maybe their brand is a little bit diluted, or they're looking to rebrand. They've never really been satisfied with their domain name. What kind of advice would you give to those people seeing that you've been in their shoes before, who are kind of struggling with this right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. Like what I would tell them is, yeah, I think there's a stigma of like you need the .com. And if like the .com is not reputable, like if you don't have that, like there's just, but I think that's changing. I think that was yesterday's news. There's so many new domain extensions. I think even like Google, I know a lot of people have a problem thinking like it actually affects their SEO rankings, not having a .com, and that's not true at all. They speak about this, like the domain, the extension has no value. What really matters is the content, your domain authority, your backlinks, um, all those things combined is how Google goes ahead and values your value to the world, to the internet, to the person that's searching, and that's how they're going to render your website over others in terms of prioritization. So that was a big actually thing that my marketing team was hung up on, that they were like very concerned about, and so I had to continuously educate them on that concept. But yeah, I think whether it's a name of a company or or a domain, it's kind of like what I told you about brand. Like what you put in is what you get out. And so like in order for it's not like you have any good name and that's going to make you successful. It's how you use it is actually what matters. And so like for us, like we started, I think we started SEO too late, but we started a year ago, and we're having great results in terms of the way we're ranking and the way people are finding us on Google and stuff like that. And but like we weren't having those results because we weren't doing any SEO work and not really paying attention to it. So it's not about the name, it's not about the domain. It's like if you feel that dot real estate can make you stand out and create credibility for your clients, because there are times that I would be saying my email to a client, they're like dot real estate, and they kind of like do that like head turn, like that's kind of interesting that they're not exposed to this world or know how it works. Like, how did you get that? Like, that's unique.
Yeah.
And it does give me some credibility in that moment. So for me, I think if you're debating like there's no silver bullet, if you think it can help you stand out and it's a good solution, then choose it. Don't make that decision out of fear because you think like it won't allow you to rank on SEO or have the credibility piece. Like I think for us it's the opposite. Like we've leaned in heavy and it's been great. We have no problems, no issues at all.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here with us, your feedback, because you've had so many great points here today and great insights. And something I liked about your last response was how you talked about how it doesn't penalize your SEO rankings, right? Having something other than .com, but also, think about too what that can actually do for companies to help them stand out in those search results, right? If it was still I love Revive, what does that say to that person who just searched for renovations, right?
Totally.
They might not be likely to click on that, but hey, real estate. Now I see what you're getting at. I know what you guys are about. I'm much more likely to actually interact with that and pick you out of those search results. So while it doesn't penalize your SEO or necessarily boost it, right, it can have a big impact on who actually clicks through to your website to learn more about you. And so,
Totally.
yeah, so really, really awesome experience that you've had with it. And I'm super excited that you were able to join us here today. Um, I think I know the answer, but would you say from kind of, everything that we've discussed here today and your experience with that real estate that, you'd highly recommend this? It's a no-brainer for other tech companies, marketers, entrepreneurs, whoever looking to brand in the real estate industry?
The answer is totally, but because it's so new, I feel like Revive, because we leaned in, we have this unique factor because no one else is using it and are very like not like it's not like widespread. So I yes, but you're gonna dilute my uniqueness. So part of me is like, but no, totally. It's been really great. There's only one area that I would say, and I think this will just change over time, is sometimes Tom, when you're signing up for certain things and they go like name, email, password, phone number, sometimes the email is like they kind of look to see if it's an at sign and a dot sign, and um, some companies have not updated their tech because they're still looking for a .com or .net.
Yeah.
So whether you're .real estate or .basketball, they're like, wait, that's not a real email, but like it totally is. And so I have an alias, which is reviverealestate.com on my emails. So for those accounts, I just use that to the same inbox. That's the only one area that you're gonna have any hang up, but like it's such a small thing and so easy to overcome.
It's interesting because I've never heard of that, and I'd love to learn that. And it's great to know that there's a workaround where you can kind of just negate that issue if you have it. And I'll say I doubt that it's going to last long because I'm sure you've seen every day there's a new company .ai.
Yeah.
Everyone's switching to that one .io, right? And so even some of those almost become diluted, like you said, right? Where .real estate is so underutilized, and we really don't see it that often. And um, yeah, we're excited about it. I'm glad that you've had a great
It,
experience with
it
it.
it rarely comes up. It's like the
Yeah.
only if anyone was asking me like, okay, what's like one thing that like that's the only thing that rarely comes up. But yeah, like you said, most of these apps and companies have updated it because they've heard it from other domain extensions, and so it's very rare that it comes up.
Yeah, I imagine that'd be a great topic to write an article on, but fair enough. But well, with that, I guess, Dilip, I want to thank you for joining us here today. You've been a great guest here on Secrets of Real Estate Success, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Tom. Appreciate it.
All right, you too. Thanks. All right, so we'll use that for the first one. Philippe, you were great.
Yeah.
Awesome insights. Really, thank you so much for doing this. Michael, how'd you feel back there?